It's gone moderately silent in the last couple of years, but let's not forget something very major in the world of big, explosive action movies. Vin Diesel and The Rock having a feud. This feud that featured The Rock calling somebody, later deduced by online sleuths, to be Vin Diesel, a candy bleep. This feud, which stemmed from the set of The Fate of the Furious, the 8th installment in the Fast and the Furious franchise, try saying that 8 times fast, caught a lot of attention at the time, and seemingly wrapped up when the movie finally debuted. In a Men's Health cover story back in 2021, Diesel did comment on his relationship with The Rock, citing tough love. It was a tough character to embody, the Hobbs character, and his approach at the time was a lot of tough love to assist in getting that performance where it needed to be. As a producer to say, okay, we're gonna take Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's associated with wrestling, and we're gonna force the cinematic world audience members to regard his character as someone they don't know. Hobbs hits you like a ton of bricks. That's something I'm proud of, that aesthetic. That took a lot of work. We had to get there, and sometimes, at that time, I could give a lot of tough love. Not Fellini-esque, but I would do anything I'd have to do in order to get performances in anything I'm producing. Direct quote, folks. Now, it kind of tracks with what we've heard about, the history of the two stars' beef. Now, after The Rock hit back on those comments, saying that he laughed hard and seemingly confirmed that he doesn't like the Fast and Furious movies, Vin Diesel did make a little plea. He's like, hey, I hope you rise to the occasion, fulfill your destiny. Very dramatic stuff on Instagram. I'm not putting those two in a room together anytime soon. According to rumors, while working together on the 2000s version of Charlie's Angels, Bill Murray criticized Lucy Liu's acting, which did not sit well with her. Then those two got into a fight and had to be separated by the crew. Lucy said, I was not going to just sit there and take it. So yes, I stood up for myself and I don't regret it. The actress later addressed media coverage in the immediate aftermath of the incident, noting that it came off as really sexist. She said what came out in the press was that I was this and I was that, and it was incredible to me how it was turned around, and they automatically thought that the woman was the difficult one. But I didn't understand how it got flipped when I had nothing to do with instigating it, or creating that platform of confrontation or anxiety. I remembered years later, maybe even decades later, some crew members that I didn't even know at the time came up to me on other sets and told me that they were there at the time and were really grateful that I did what I did. Look, the proof is in the pudding, folks. In the sequel, Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, Murray was replaced by Bernie Mac, which only proves all of these points. Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone's contentious relationship began way many years ago, when the two actors were set to star in 1974's The Lord of Flatbush. Richard was set to play protagonist Chico Tyrell, a part eventually played by actor Perry King, but Sylvester and Richard did not get off well. There was one specific incident, that was on set mind you, that resulted in Richard getting fired from the movie. So Sylvester Stallone actually opened up about it in an interview, saying yeah, it involved lunchtime. And it royally ticked off Sylvester. As he told it, Richard would strut around in his oversized motorcycle jacket all over set like he was the baddest knight at the round table. Direct quote, folks. One day during an improv moment, he grabbed Sylvester because they were simulating a fight scene and got carried away. And Sylvester was like, hey, maybe lighten up. But Richard was completely in character and impossible to deal with. They were rehearsing at Coney Island. It was lunchtime, so they're like, okay, we take a break. And the only place where they could warm up was in the backseat of a Toyota. Sylvester was sitting in there eating a hot dog, and then Richard climbed in with half a chicken covered in mustard with grease nearly dripping out of the aluminum wrapper. Sylvester said, that thing is going to drip all over the place. Richard was like, oh, don't worry about it. And Sylvester was like, if it gets on my pants, you're gonna know about it. Well, Richard bites into the chicken and a small greasy river of mustard lands on Sylvester's thigh. So he elbowed him into the side of the head and pushed him out of the car. The director had to make a choice. Somebody had to go, somebody had to stay. Richard was given his walking papers and to this day seriously dislikes Sylvester Stallone. And while it may seem a bit silly that his departure from the movie was about a mustard stain, it seems like the principle of it all was that it just really bothered Sylvester Stallone. And well, hey, they've both had, big Hollywood careers. Doesn't look like these two ever kissed and made up. They've never worked in any movie ever since. James Franco and Tyrese Gibson starred together in the 2006 Navy boxing drama Annapolis, in which Franco, a known method actor, would actually bop Gibson in the fight scenes. I never want to work with him again, and I'm sure he feels the same way, Gibson told Playboy in 2007. It felt very personal and it was effed up. The star elaborated on the experience in an interview with Elle the same year, saying, like, James Franco was a method actor. I respect method actors, but he never snapped out of character. Whenever we'd have to get in the ring for boxing scenes, and even during practice, the dude was full on hitting me. I was just always like, James, lighten up, man, we're just practicing, but he never lightened up. And Franco finally addressed all these remarks in an interview in 2008, saying, I hear he wants to blow up my hotel room. And then he kind of took responsibility. He was like, yeah, I was probably a jerk. I was not purposely cruel to him, but I was probably so wrapped up in my performance that I was not as friendly as I could have been. And he was like, this is such a stupid issue. I can't believe I'm still talking about it. But when I'm asked about it in the press, it makes it seem like it's still an issue. I think Tyrese is a sweet guy with a good heart. I wish him all the best. Yeah, he didn't really own up to anything, but alright. Janet Hubert portrayed Aunt Viv for the first 3 seasons of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But the air was never clear between Hubert and Will Smith. The rapper claimed that Hubert was difficult to work with, and the pair had creative differences when she left the show in 1993. I can straight up say that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show, because I know she's gonna dog me in the press. Yeah, he said that during a radio interview. She has basically gone from $250,000 a year to nothing. She's mad now, but she's been mad all along. She said once, I've been in the business for 10 years, and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets a show. No matter what, to her, I'm just the Antichrist. Whew, that is a lot of rough words. Well, Hubert had her own choice words for Smith at the time, telling TMZ, there will never be a reunion. I will never do anything with an a-hole like Will Smith. He is still an egomaniac and has not grown up. The concert reunion thing will never happen in my lifetime unless there's an apology, which she does not know the word. Now, Hubert did reveal that her home life was in a dark place while working on the sitcom, and apparently Will Smith took her creative outlet away from her when she left the show. Justin Baldoni has tried to put chatter of the feud with his It Ends With Us co-star Blake Lively to bed, but the rumor mill is still in overdrive about all this tension between the pair. It all began earlier this year following the New York City premiere of the film, when fans noticed that Lively and Baldoni were not posing together on the red carpet. While Blake Lively was being photographed with her husband, Ryan Reynolds, his friend Hugh Jackman, and co-stars Jenny Slate, Brandon Sklenar, Baldoni was on the other end of the red carpet, either solo or with his wife. Fans noticed that Blake was not following Justin on Insta, and none of the cast members were following Justin on Insta. I know an Instagram follow isn't just like concrete evidence for a feud, but like raising some eyebrows. They are your co-workers for the purpose of press. And in an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Baldoni was like, yeah, Blake should direct the sequel. I think she's ready. That's what I think, which like, oh boy. In another interview, he was like, yeah, I was working with complex personalities on set. He said every movie is a miracle. Then of course you're navigating complex personalities, trying to get everybody on the same page with the same vision, and mistakes are always made, and then you figure out how to move past them. And Blake Lively, on the other hand, seemed to dodge a question about building trust with scene partners. She was like, yeah, I mean, this movie was such a challenge because you have scenes that are deeply painful and traumatic and physical, but you also have scenes that are full of levity and light and romance. And normally when I see this type of character like Ryle on screen, you know what's gonna happen. And you're like, oh, that guy's full of red flags. Yep. Well, that's all for today, folks. See you next time.